This will be my review of my budget rooftop tent setup on the Ford Ranger. Still sitting on the $40 roof rack. I'm going to set it up this morning, probably sleep in it tonight, depending on the weather. Maybe it is good to give it a test in a thunderstorm since I'm going to be living in this thing for 3 weeks later this summer. So I'm going to set the camera up and see how long it takes me to set this tent up, and we'll go from there. Velcro all along the perimeter. That's all going to be undone, but I'll leave this side attached. Really, this cover seems to be the biggest or hardest part of setting up the tent. I'm not sure what to do about getting more height when I'm camping, whether to take this along or not, because it's over 7 feet high to the top, so I'm going to have to think of something. Step is to pull the ladder out and just lever it forward. That didn't work very good. There we go. Next step is to put this vestibule support in. The ladder actually supports the weight of this platform. So when you're sitting on this side of the tent inside the bag, it's supported by the ladder. I'm going to extend it a little bit as soon as it stretches out again. This is only the third time I've set this particular tent up, so it's still very new to me. Next is the windows. Holes are inside. I'm going to put these poles in from the inside of the tent. Basically, they're sprung steel. They hook into the windows. I tried installing them from the outside the first time I set this up, but I believe the better option is to install them from the inside. Final step is to secure the ends of this vestibule with some ropes in. And that is pretty much it, except for the front window. And I think I'll open that right now too to get some more ventilation. Well, here it is all set up. And I've opened the front window now, so you can get an idea about the ventilation the tent has. The sunshade rain cover is clipped in with those poles on the front here too. Opening the windows are optional. I've seen many videos and read many things that some people set the tent up in a hurry. If they just want to set it up quickly for the night, they leave them all shut. There are 2 vents up top, one on each side to help with the ventilation. This particular tent has a extension on the end here, about 3 feet long, which gives some privacy to the entry. But what I really like about it is it gives me protection from the rain. I can stand underneath it, I can cook underneath it, and there's a vestibule I can buy that zips onto it and flares out at the bottom, and it's long enough to sleep people below here. I kind of like the idea of this extension on the end. Can't see any downsides to it. I guess the tent would be simpler to set up if you didn't have it. Maybe more windproof too. Let's go inside. Well, let's go inside and have a quick look. It's pretty big in here. This tent is about 8 feet long and it's 4 feet wide. It's plenty big enough for 2 or even 3 people. It's a single wall construction, like a mountain tent, which means there's no ventilation. No air's going through here. There's no screen on the top. It's just the bows and the canvas, just like my soft top on my Land Cruiser. The inside's all double taped and double stitched and double seamed. Well, some seams are singular, I guess, but most of them are double. The windows are all screened. Seems to be very well built for the price point that it is. I'm not complaining about the price I paid for this tent. Is it easier to set up than my MSR Hubba Hubba? No, it's not. Now that could be the fact that I'm not used to it yet, because this is only the 3rd time I've set it up. It could also be that it just takes longer to set up. This tent, once you unbuckle the cover and fold it open, you could sleep in it. Opening the windows and putting these 6 support rods in, that's a bit of a pain, but it's not a big deal. But I think I could set up a ground tent quicker than that. Why have a rooftop tent then? Well, it gets me off the ground and it's kind of fun and kind of different, and I wanted to try it. I want to try something different all the time as far as camping goes. And I'm going to be living in this for 3 weeks, so I'm going to get a good taste for what it's like to set this thing up almost on a nightly basis. So if it works out, I'll let you know. If it doesn't work out, I'll let you know about that too. Most of these tents come with a 2-inch foam mattress, and this tent is no exception. About 2 inches thick, pretty flimsy foam. I've already heard some complaints about the lack of the foam density. So today I'm going to try and fit a different mattress in here. And this is one I bought off Amazon. Cost about 60 bucks delivered to my door, and I think it'll be a good option for this. I'm going to lay it on top of this one actually. I'm not going to remove it because when I folded the tent up last time, I left all the bedding inside. I stole this bedding off my kid's bed and I've annexed it for this tent. So when I folded it up, I found out that there was quite a bit of room left over, and I can easily fit, I think, another 2-inch mattress on top of this one, plus the bedding. One advantage of a rooftop tent is that you don't have to take the bedding out every time you decide to fold the tent up. With a tent, of course, you have to take all your bedding out and put it all away and pack it all up, whether you're using sleeping bags or mattresses or what have you. And in a rooftop tent, the bedding can stay in, depending on the tent. This one it can, and I can just fold it all in. And this bedding's going to remain in the tent for the duration of my trip, because when I'm hiking on the trail for a week, I'll be taking dedicated sleeping equipment and a dedicated tent for that. So this bed can stay here nice and clean and dry for me, and I think I'll need it after 3 weeks on the West Coast Trail. It's 27 degrees here today, 27 Celsius, and the tent's only been up for 10 minutes or so, and I'm surprised that it's quite cool in here now. The sunshade rain cover on the top seems to keep the sun off the gray canvas, and these 4 windows and the door, I guess, provide a huge amount of ventilation, cross ventilation, and it's quite cool in here right now. The windows are all nicely screened, and they have different tie downs and pulls in them so you can tie the screens up or the inside flaps up as you see fit. The straps on these bows are all to pull it open and closed when you're opening and closing it. Kind of the same as a Jeep soft top. I still can't get over how long this thing is. 8 feet long, so you have room at the end of it to keep all your bags and equipment down there. You don't have to keep it up where you're sleeping, because my feet are probably going to end up here somewhere, and it gives me 2 feet at the end of it to store other gear. Getting in and out of it is not as bad as I thought. You just wiggle down the ladder. I've got a rechargeable light I'm going to mount underneath this platform, so I can just click it on at night to help getting in and out in case there's no visibility and it's black out. And I also have a hanging contraption from an old tent camper I had that I'm going to use on this as a shoe bag. And I think it'd be easier to slip your shoes into a bag that's hanging off the end of the platform than to leave them on the ground. However, I might want to use that platform I have down there for a shoe platform. I think I'm going to take that along. It folds up, it's light, and I need something to reach up to undo all these buckles and straps when I'm setting this tent up. Let's see if that other mattress fits in here. Well, I've unboxed and put this mattress topper in here. I'm quite surprised it's not as big as it was advertised. Probably 4 inches narrower. Doesn't quite go to the walls on side to side. It was supposed to fit quite snugly, but it's still expanding. And I guess I'll have to see how far it comes out. I've got all the bedding balled up here at the end. That's all the bedding. 2 pillows, mattress cover, and a duvet, and there's tons of room at the end of this tent. These things are 8 feet long. Gives you a lot of options on how you want to store your gear, your backpacks or whatever. That's one advantage to this big long tent. As far as this mattress topper goes, I don't know what to make of it. Maybe I needed to spend more than $60 this time because it's not looking so promising right now. I'll let it expand, and then I'll make this bed. I think I'd like to sleep on it tonight and see how it feels. It doesn't feel a whole lot different to me right now than the standard topper, I guess. I'll find out once it expands. It probably needs the whole afternoon to expand, and then I will report back to you on that. But for now, it's not looking so good. This tent is a Power Fist tent, bought from local Princess Auto in Canada, which is the equivalent to Harbor Freight in the United States. And right now, you can buy this tent for about $1,000 Canadian, about, I guess that's $700 American. It's a Chinese tent, as they all are. So there are better tents out there, and there are probably worse tents too, but for the money, after looking this thing over, I think it's an excellent value. I don't know how long it's going to last, but for how much I'm going to use it for, is it worth it for me to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a rooftop tent? I don't think so. I think this will do just fine for the limited amount of use it's going to see from me. I just don't see the value for me getting a $3,000 tent because my primary camper is on the front driveway, which is another question people are asking. Why am I subjecting myself to living on top of my Ford Ranger when I have all that money tied up on the front driveway in that new truck and camper? That was bought for a different purpose. When I bought that, I envisioned driving south for the winter, you know, maybe going to Texas beaches or Northern California, doing some hiking and mountain biking down there, or driving it out to the Rockies here and have it waiting for me at the trailhead when I come off of a hike. Now, to take it to the West Coast this year, it's possible, but to fit it up all those tight logging roads on the island, it's not something I want to subject it to with low-hanging trees and branches beating on it, and then to leave it unattended for a week while I'm on the trail. That's another thing entirely. I don't know if I want to leave it unattended for an entire week, whereas I got very little invested in this entire rig, so I feel pretty comfortable leaving it unattended. And it is smaller, it's lighter, it's more maneuverable for getting on and off of ferries, and it's a completely different experience. I'll be cooking out of this thing and living out of this thing, and I do a lot of motorcycle camping and bike packing too on my bicycle, so it's not new for me to camp in many different ways. The Arctic Fox is pure luxury, I'm going to say that, and I really enjoy it. and I will use it as much as I can, but I'm also keeping my eyes open for other ways to have fun and enjoy my life. And I've always wanted to try a rooftop tent, and this was a great option for me at the time for the price. And in my previous video, I mentioned how the racks that hold these things to a truck topper can cost up to $1,000 here in Canada. I bought one for $40 at the wrecking yard, and I just bolted it right on this fiberglass topper. So you don't need to spend $800, $1,000 on the rack itself. Buy your tent and use some ingenuity, shop at a wrecking yard and pull a rack off something else and put it on your fiberglass topper. That's if you're camping off the back of a little truck like this. This could be mounted on bed rails too, but having the topper gives us the option of actually sleeping in the topper if we're in bear country, and we can put all our gear in the back and not have to move it back and forth from the cab to the topper when we want to go to sleep, because we just crawl up here at night. So I think it's going to work just fine for that, and that's the reason why I'm going to be using this and the Arctic Fox camper. Two different adventure type of rigs for two very different purposes. You couldn't take this down south for 2 months in the winter. Well, you could. I guess people probably do, but I'd rather take my big camper and live out of that. And this is for expedition type journeys into the backcountry. That's what I bought it for, and that's what it's going to be used for. I can scratch this up on the trees a bit, and I'm not really going to lose any sleep over it, but if I took my new F450 through a bunch of trees and rocks and scratched my camper up and broke a few windows, I'd probably be very upset. So that's the reason for these two different rigs. Just in a short bit of time there, the mattress has already expanded to fit nearly flush with the side brackets in here. So things are looking better than they were 20 minutes ago. I'll have to check back in an hour, maybe make this bed up, see how it's going to go together. Well, the bed's all made up. The cheapo mattress seemed to expand just fine. Tent's nice and cool inside now. I'm going to sleep in here tonight in my backyard. Anyone looking for a cheaper option for a rooftop tent, if you're in Canada, you should definitely check out the PowerFist one at Princess Auto. Certainly a lot of value here for the money. Still can't get over how much room there is inside this thing. Yeah, 8 feet long, gives a lot of space. Plenty of room for me here tonight. Depending on how noisy it is with fireworks, it's Canada Day. Maybe I should take it down so no fireworks fall out of the sky and melt my tent. Night is coming. It's well into the evening now. The mattress has expanded. Looks to be good to go. Looks pretty comfortable. This is going to be my backyard camping experiment. Maybe the only time I get to try this tent out before we leave, because we have another trip planned next month to South Dakota with the big camper and Land Cruiser. It should be fairly nice tonight. Nice calm evening. No big thunderstorms in the area. Hopefully this little tent will do the trick here. I'm hoping that being above the ground, it's warmer than sleeping on the ground. I guess I'll soon find out. It's supposed to go down to 9 degrees tonight, 9 degrees Celsius. It's 9 degrees above the freezing mark. So I'll find out real quick. I'm just using the one light blanket I had in there, nothing more, because that's all I planned on using this summer. I guess if I need more, I'll have to adjust that. We'll see as the night goes on. Kind of feel like I'm in a Camping with Steve video. His early video when he camped in his backyard when he was just setting up his YouTube channel. If you haven't checked out Camping with Steve Wallace, you should definitely check his channel out. If you like stealth camping and things like that. I'm not into that because everything I have is not stealthy. and I don't want to camp under bridges or under road signs. The sun has now set. And I can hear music in the distance from the Canada Day celebrations. It's cooling off quite rapidly. Fire won't do me much good in there. But the overnight camping is about to begin. One thing I am concerned about is heat. Not from this fire here, but from my body tonight in the tent. Single wall tents like this, I've had them before, produce condensation inside when you sleep in them. I had a North Face single wall tent. It was a really good tent, but every morning you'd have to wipe it down with a small towel or something in order to get the condensation off the inside. I'm not sure what people are doing in these rooftop tents. They're fairly well ventilated. I'm planning on leaving this screen here wide open tonight. I'll close the side windows though, I think. But I'm not sure what to expect as far as how much condensation is going to be dripping down the inside of this thing come morning. It'll soon burn off in the heat of the day, but it's a problem with single wall tents, not just rooftop tents, but any single wall tent. So I guess I'll find out tomorrow morning when I wake up how much condensation is on the inside. Of course, the more people you have inside, the more condensation you're likely to have. I'll probably bring a small towel up there with me. I'll put it in there tonight so I can wipe it out tomorrow morning when I get up. I have closed this window on this side now. This window actually zips shut. It has a steel rod inside, so you can keep it up all day or put it down at night if you want. I'm going to leave it down. I don't need that much ventilation. I'm just going to have the rear window open tonight. All in all, it looks like there'll be plenty of ventilation to keep the condensation at a minimum. I just have this cheap light, my shop light hanging here right now. So I have some light in the middle of the night. I'm gonna put my magnetic one, or actually it's Velcro with stickies. I'm gonna put it here for when I'm using the tent. And on this side, or the other side, I'd like to hang my shoe bag. Say you have a place to put shoes and other stuff when you're using the tent. But I am going to take this little step along with me. I think it's an excellent way to button up the camper when you're unfolding it or storing it. And it gives you a place to put your shoes off the ground, so no creepy crawlies can get into your shoes while you're sleeping. So I think I'm going to take that with me for the room it takes in the back of the truck. It seems to be a good choice. Well, the sun is long gone. It's far after 10. The roar of the highway and the fire is still going here. Maybe I can get to sleep before the explosions and gunfire commence for the Canada Day celebrations after it gets good and dark. But it could be good entertainment to watch it. Well, I'm not going to put that fire out considering it's in my yard. I think I'll zip some of these windows shut though, and let the sounds of the traffic lull me to sleep. Only feet from my house, which is probably far more comfortable, but I need to test this thing out before my big trip. And I'd like to know about the condensation and how much heat, because it's going to be a very cool night. Well, it's time to get up and see how much condensation is in this thing. One thing about this tent is it's black in here. You can hardly see, even though it's 7:30 and the sun's been up for hours. It really is well insulated from the light. Still just slightly drizzling right now. It was nice hearing the rain on the tent this morning. it does not appear to be any real condensation anywhere, which is a good thing. I had just one window on this side cracked just a little bit, and everything else was sealed up. So that's a good sign. I'm not going to build up a lot of moisture in here. I had a pretty good sleep in here. The mattress worked very well. It was warmer than I expected. I ended up taking off one layer because I thought it was going to be cold, down to +8 last night. So I think I'll let this tent dry and put it together after breakfast. Backyard camping at its finest. I think I'd like to take this tent down before it starts raining again. Seems to be pretty dry. I don't want to put it away wet, that's for sure. So I'll set this up on a tripod and see how quickly I can take it down. I should add that I discovered that the other window on the other side is actually a door. So if bears are ravaging this side of your camp, your pool and everything's here, you have another escape route out the tent, which is nice. I have to say, with these tents, the instructions are kind of lacking. There's no direction on where to store anything, how to stuff it back into its case, where to put the support bar for the vestibule. So this is all kind of learning as you go. I'm not sure what other people do. I think I might just store that metal bar in the back of the truck from now on. If anybody else has one of these, let me know. Ashes. And spiders. Well, you get the idea of what it's like to pack one of these up now. It's not as difficult as I thought it would be. With 2 people, it'd be far easier though. One thing about this tent, I was focusing, like I said, on the front here. Making sure that this front Velcro here is quite zipped up. Because if you're driving into a rainstorm, you could have some trouble with driving rain getting underneath the cover. I don't think it's going to be a problem with this particular tent. It looks very watertight. It's been out in the rain a lot. It's been raining here every day. So what do I have to say about this? Let me get in the shade here for a bit. There we go. I guess what I have to say about this is after sleeping in it now for one night, It's pretty easy to set up, and it is easy to take down. It's a bit more time consuming than a tent, for me anyway, now, because it's still new to me. And with 2 people, it'd be far easier to fold this thing up. I'm not sure where to put that metal bow. That kind of takes a bit of time. But as far as inside the tent goes at night, on top of the 2 layers of foam that I have, it's very comfortable, far more comfortable than the ground and any tent, because in tents you're always sliding on your thermarest over to one side or back and forth, up and down, and the ground is lumpy. With the rooftop tent, it's perfectly flat. Doesn't matter about all the contours of the ground, make no difference to the tent at all. As long as the truck is reasonably level, the sleeping is far superior. And it was warmer than I thought. And I forgot how warm single wall tents can actually be. This one was quite warm last night. And no condensation, which is a good surprise. Maybe with 2 people it would be a little different, but last night it was no problem. And last night would have been when you'd have the condensation, because it was cool. It was 8 degrees or so. So thanks for watching this video, and if you want to see my 3-week excursion across Canada in this thing, going to the mountains and hiking the West Coast Trail, please subscribe and follow along. Thanks for watching.